Hello everyone and welcome to Decode Java. Today I'm going to talk about constructor overloading. And for constructor overloading, first let me create a new file and let's name it as user.java. And it's a class user. And constructor is a special type of method which is called by the compiler only when the instance of the class is getting created. So constructor is essentially a method with the name same as the class. And here if I do system.out.println and I print this out, we can see that when I try to create an instance of user here in the main method, if I say user, this point, when the code get executed, the constructor will get called. So let's do, and we can see constructor of user is getting called. Now constructor of user here, we have a default constructor which is printing an out. But let's say the user has few properties. So string name, string address, here age. Let's say these three. After that, let's create getter for these three properties. So if we have to create getter, we can just use source action and select generate getters here. Select all the three and Visual Studio Code will generate getter for us. So now once we do that, what we can do here is we can go and we can do system.out.println and we can do user.get name, and similarly we can do get address and get age. Now if we compile and run the application, we're going to see null for the name and address and 0 for the age, because these are the default values. And this is where constructor will be helpful. So we can create a constructor where we can create user. Now you see we already have a constructor for user with no parameters. So now it'll start throwing an error because we have duplicate method. Now if we give here string name, string address, and integer age. Now you can see the error is gone, because one of the most important part of constructor overloading, just like method overloading, is that the number of parameter has to be different between the two overloads. Now here we created an overload of the user's default constructor with a constructor which takes three parameters. Now we can set this.name is equal to name, this dot address is equal to address, and this dot age is equal to age. Now at this point in time, if we go back here, see we can now use the overloaded constructor and pass a name. So we can say John, address, street, and age is, let's say, 30. Now let's save this and let's compile and run, and we can see the name, address, and age is printed out. And we can also see that this printout statement is not printed out anymore. The reason for that is we are calling the overloaded constructor, so this constructor will never get called. So that's overload of user, which takes name, street, name, address, and age. Now, some users might not be comfortable sharing their age. So now we need a constructor which do not accept age, and it is pretty straightforward. We can just copy paste. And again, since we have same number of parameters, you can see it's throwing an error. Now, one thing we can do is we can just change it to string just for demonstration and see the error is gone. And let's get rid of this. The error is gone. The reason for error is gone because it's not just the number of parameter has to be different. Even if the parameters are same, but the type of the parameters are different, then it is not going to throw an error. And that is what is happening here. But our requirement is to get rid of the age. So I'm going to get rid of the age. And I'm going to go here also. And now the user is comfortable because they don't have to pass the age anymore. So now if I compile and run, I'll see the second constructor will get called, and we are going to see name and street, and for age it's going to come back as 0, which is the default value of an integer. So this is how we can use constructor overloading, and as you can see, it can be very useful. We can also go ahead and create a constructor with just name. If someone is not even comfortable sharing their address, which can happen, and then we can go here and we can also get rid of the address and just keep the name. And at this point, if we compile and run, the name is going to be printed out, but the address and age will share the default value, which is null for address and 0 for age. So this is in a nutshell how we can do constructor overloading and how it can be very useful in certain situation like this, where you want to instantiate an object, but you want to instantiate an object with different parameter values for the constructor based on the nature of this particular requirement. So that is all I wanted to cover for today's video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to this channel and you think you are getting value out of this channel, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks so much for watching this video.